morning, everybody. Thank you, Vincent, for that nice PR for me. Even I didn't realize. Yes, I was involved with Asian Institute of Technology, starting plastic waste abatement, professional master's program. We have trained more than around 100, 120 professionals who work on the region, starting from different part of Asia, Africa, even Latin America. Okay, let me take my presentation. I will take I'll take just 15 minutes, make a quick presentation. My presentation is plastic waste, data collection, current practice, key challenges and strategies, and etc. I'm supposed to cover this. A lot of what I'm going to say is already been explained, so I will not talk too much. I try to be pinpoint to the very pointed things. Before I start, I'd like to say my presentation going to be to a large extent biased what is happening in Thailand. Okay, so my expertise, my presentation is more on that one. If you look at it, plastics, marine plastic issue is not something new. Way back in 1972, okay, it has been linked into that, what you call plastic on Saragosse sea surfaces, okay? And if you look at last 10 years, it's quite interesting to note, I think I'll take the microphone. It's quite interesting to note, there are a lot of publications, okay? So you can see this data, okay? Both in a number of papers, number of publications, that indicates very honestly, there are a lot of data has been collected, okay, on plastic waste. So we can always question the thing, but the data has been collected on the thing. Next one, if you look at it, data collection and assessment, there are different people who are participating, okay? National governments, international organization, research institute, academic institutes, plastic industry, private sector, and etc. There are different methodologies, tools, and guidelines have been used, and that is what discussed the morning. There is need to harmonize. We don't deny on that fact. But what you look at it, there are a lot of data there. You can see different countries. There are plastic, a lot of things happening in plastic sector. There are a lot of reports, and only in Thailand you can see that a lot of reports have been coming up, etc. In terms of tools, MFA, material flow analysis, it's one of the most common methodology used widely, and it also differs depending on the scope you're going to use. So if we again look at this World Bank report, I did an excellent report in Thailand. It looked at the macro, and similarly, Chulalongkorn University went into that. They looked at the micro in sort of different sectorial work on the thing. And this one talks about WWF's plastic material flow analysis and value chain, especially in Thailand. And you can see it's on one side, you have a lot of data, and other side, not much of data. So it's clearly says, in terms of even macro analysis, some part of the informations are more detailed and some part are not that detailed. Okay, so I'll come to that. So if you look at it in Thailand, there are plenty of national platforms which provides data in terms of plastic production, consumption, collection, and leakage. For example, on production, we have Chulalongkorn University's Plastic Institute for Thailand, UN database, and etc. The production side, we have data. And the consumption, the Plastic Institute of Thailand has reasonably good data. In collection, Pollution Control Department, National Statistical Organization, Bangkok Metropolitan Authority has some reliable plastic data. On the leakage, in terms of marine debris, there are marine department and etc. has been there. I would say to a large extent, this part is more of an estimation or a guesstimation. I'll start with this. Okay, in Thailand, it's very common when you talk about plastic waste data, we always start with municipal solid waste. The Pollution Control Department has an excellent data. Unlike other countries, they have beautiful data, in-depth municipal solid waste, every district and etc. etc. But the data is very much based on municipal solid waste. And we know plastic is a small part of that. Okay, so municipal solid waste data we do have, and from that the pollution control department on a public domain, we know every district or province how much municipal solid waste is created, how many dump sites, and beautiful data we have. Similar way, National Statistical Organization, even this database has, so everybody has an access. People can always question this data is collected by local authority, the quality of the data, whether you can accept or not. That is an argumented things. But we have data. The order of magnitude is there, so the data is there. But when it comes to plastic waste, and it always goes with an estimation. The last estimation was that 12% of the plastic, municipal solid waste is plastic waste, and most of the calculation is done on that estimation. The fundamental question is it still hold true? Can you use it? Can you update it? Okay, that's important, especially after the COVID, what happened, and the life changes, life cycle has changed. Now we do more of a e-commerce which create more plastic and etc. etc. And at the same time, there are issues have been taking place banning plastics. So this 12%, is it reliable or we need to do? And that is where the question comes. At the same time, when you look at data collection, there are different alternatives. Okay, so we are not talking only about the traditional plastic. There are engineering plastic. Then you have a bioplastic. Okay, so the problem is some of this bioplastic comes into the cycle. As at the end, we do not know what percentage is what. So it creates a lot of complication. So the data and material flow analysis of a single-use plastic and packaging are available. However, downstream fate of alternative plastic like bioplastic is not available, and that creates a lot of confusion in terms of data. I think if you look at it, this table is more of a viable only for Thailand. We have upstream, midstream, management, and downstream. And in terms of availability, you can see upstream on the supply chain, it's more of a formal. As I said, the data is collected by the formal sector. And as we go down on the supply chain, we have more of an informal sectors and etc. So the reliability of the data on the upstream in Thailand, 80 to 90% data is very reliable. And you can see as you go down, especially uncollected leakage into rivers and ocean, I would say less than 50% the data is reliable. Okay, that's the scenario. It's quite interesting. Both plastic industries and the private sectors do collect data. There are a lot of published data, and most of the data is collected in terms of plastic recyclability and etc. And also many business sectors collect this data to tell plastic footprinting in Thailand. A lot of published data information is available. It's quite good, and they contribute to an additional data, but there is small information you need to look at it. This data, is it available for public? That can be improved, not always. And the data transparency, what type of assumption they make, maybe they could be a little bit more open about it. I think that is what I feel, the business sector's data collection and etc. Now when you look at it, the next part in terms of plastic waste, there are issues very specific to each country. I'm sure we are talking about regionality. Then I take an example of Thailand, and you have to be very careful. Let's say, for example, in Thailand, we have a culture of street food. Okay, people cook very little at home. Street food culture is very important, and it's part of the culture. And we say, even if you look at a garbage bag, we say bag in bag in bag. All these bags are plastic bags, and you cannot overcome. Okay, some people say we have to ban plastic. It's not can be done overnight, and you have to be very careful. So this has to be looked into that until viable alternatives are identified. We cannot eliminate plastic. So you need to be a little bit careful in estimation. This might not be true in South Asia. Okay, so it has to be careful, countries to country, it varies. Now, when it comes to data collection, like I was talking this morning, let's say, for example, the PET bottle collection in India is more than the PET bottle collection in Japan. You might be surprised. Okay, this is a real data. Simple reason is in India, the informal sector, when they collect the PET bottles, okay, they can recycle, they can make money, so it's much higher rate. Similarly, in Thailand, the informal sector plays a very important role. I think Mary discussed this before the coffee break. And the data they collect or the data from them, it's not accessible or it has to be looked at very carefully. Now, in terms of, we talk about it today, we need to we are moving from plastic to more of a international treaties and etc. etc. And there is an obligation eventually comes for every country to report the plastic waste generation, collection, and etc. And it's all important. If you want to do this, we need to sort of collect data which has to be more reliable. It's very important. So in that aspect, there are a lot of tools and assessment protocols. And we have been working on a very interesting project on this from from Thailand. There are different technologies, different tools, okay, for both microplastic and microplastic. That leaves me just a minute, okay. Now, I think I'll sort of summarize on this in terms of priority management. At the moment, we should, if you have to put a priority on data collection manage, we should emphasize more on microplastic because we have more reliable data on microplastic, more reliable assessment tool, and that is important. I think that should be the priority. We need to build capacity and we need to do that one. We need to train people on that one. But over the time, the leakage of microplastic eventually leads to a microplastic. And once you get some microplastic, it becomes much difficult to manage and much difficult to measure. I think we should focus in future, how do you measure and manage microplastic and collecting data. I think that's a note. I think with this note, I like to say in terms of strategies, it's very important we have to bring out outreach, sharing and exchanging, harmonizing approaches has to be created. That's very important for us. And we need to have some regional centers on this one. And at the same time, we need to develop technical skills. And it's also very important, regional research and data collection effect should be focused to a large extent in future on microplastic. And the microplastic we already have, we need to be more, I think we need to improve that one. And it's also very important, very often, as I said, when you collect data for plastics, mention the assumption, data collection, and analysis, transparency. There has to be a transparency in this one. I think with this note, I'll stop here. We could have more discussion. Thank you very much.